Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is an action fantasy adventure film directed by James Wan, known for the movies Saw, The Conjuring, and The Conjuring 2. Having failed to defeat Aquaman the first time, Black Manta, still driven by the need to avenge his father's death, will stop at nothing to take Aquaman down once and for all. This time, Black Manta is more formidable than ever before, wielding the power of the mystic Black Trident, which unleashes an ancient and male-violent force. To defeat him, Aquaman will turn to his imprisoned brother Orm, the former king of Atlantis, to forge an unlikely alliance. Together, they must set aside their differences in order to protect their kingdom and save Aquaman's family and the world from irreversible destruction. Damn, that's a long premise. Runtime is 124 minutes. Film's rating is PG-13. In color, Aquaman, created by Morton Wesenheimer and Paul Norris. So, when I said in the last review I had hope for this film, that hope was just diminished with each frame per second. I mean, goodness gracious, this film. When I said that, the director, when he said this film is going to be much goofier than the first, he meant it very much. This is a goofy, stupid film from beginning to end. I was just watching this movie thinking, wow, this is goofy. In not a good way. In a very just like, alright, enough is enough at this point. I'm tired of these superhero movies being the same thing, having to be a comedy, goofy, funny, instead of being formidable and new and has some substance. And that's Aquaman 2. Like, I don't hate this film. I'm not even saying that this film is terrible. I just find this film to be very average, very safe, with no stakes, just an average superhero movie that you could find entertainment with. I'm not saying this movie is, like, this movie is a bore. I'm not saying otherwise. This film slows its way down pretty much. But there's some entertainment you can get from it. But man, this is another superhero flop in my opinion. It saddens me because not even that long ago, 2018, superhero movies were just kicking it. Like, they were at its peak, and now 2023, not even 5 years later, how superhero movies have just deplenished in a way. This year has been one of the worst years for superhero movies, even though I could say, hey, Guardians 3 and Across the Spider-Verse were amazing. Those two movies were the soft spots I have. But one of them were a live action, the other is animation. So when it comes to live action superhero movies, yeah, they're screwed. This is one of the worst years. This is definitely not a year to remember for superhero movies. But yeah, this definitely was a stain. Also, this is the last DCU movie, which I can remember 2013. I was a young boy at the time, watching it with my cousin. It was Man of Steel, and being like, yeah, this is great. And that was the beginning. And how, 10 years later, we're with Aquaman, and how disappointing things have become. Very saddened by that fact. But yeah, Aquaman 2 was definitely nothing memorable. So let's get down to the things. We got performances. You got Jason Momoa playing Arthur Curry, Aquaman. And Jason Momoa, I feel like he has more creative freedom with this movie. He's credited for doing the story. And yeah, I could see that this character, of course, in the beginning, I remember seeing Aquaman being, of course, he was funny, but also just serious and badass when needed to be. I found this Aquaman to be a more goofier, more comedic, more crazy. Like some say, they compare this performance to the same as Fast 10, of him being just a lunatic, but this time as a superhero instead of being a villain. And yeah, I can see that. This is definitely an Aquaman that is more goofier than the others. Instead of being just a badass, stoic, will kick some ass when needs to. I don't see it with this Aquaman. I see him, it's just not the same. I feel like this is a more goofier performance than what I would expect. And it's not, I don't know if I should blame Jason Momoa or just maybe the direction for his character, but yeah, this is not what I was thinking when I thought of Aquaman during maybe Justice League of him being a badass, silent guy who kick ass when needs to. And it's funny in Aquaman. And yeah, I loved him in Aquaman. So I don't know what was the thing that happened in this film. I think they just really did a wonder with his character. And yeah, just the story of him being king, but also just him being like, sucks being king. Like, dude's been king for how many years, and he still just can't get into it. It's like, I don't think he's the one to become king, pretty much. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like that character was just written badly. You also got his companion, Patrick Wilson, as King Orm, Ocean Master. And yeah, Patrick Wilson's great. I love seeing him. And of course, him working with James Wan in this film. And there's a certain moment in this movie where I'm like, that was definitely a callback of one of the performances of his in one of the Wan horror movies. Yeah, I just like their banter. That's one of the good things about this movie is their banter. And their chemistry is just great. But yeah, Patrick Wilson was fine in this film. He's like the best part I would probably put in this film. The antagonist is Yahya Abdul Mateen II as Black Manta, which was definitely one of the best parts of that first movie. Has this villain arc where he's like, yeah, he left my dad to die, so I will focus my entire life to make sure I kill Aquaman and ruin his life. And it's just a cool villain arc. But I found in this film, there's a certain thing that I don't want to spoil because I feel like it's a spoiler thing, but I don't know if I'm ever going to see this movie again to even decide. But he gets pretty much possessed by this entity and he becomes more evil and wants to kill Aquaman. But he didn't need that, to be honest. His character already had an amazing backstory. He didn't need some stupid possession for him to be completely evil. It's like, I don't know. That fact. And to be honest, by the end, it was useless. So it's like, that was just dumb writing. He didn't need that. Black Manta was already a badass villain to begin with in that first film, but I found what they did with this character in this movie definitely screwed him up big time, and it's a real big shame, because I really did love that villain character in that first film. And you got one of the controversies of this film is Amber Heard as Mera. And they definitely cut down her role. You can tell, definitely dialogue-wise. Like, she barely had any dialogue in this film. But she was there. She had screen time. She had moments in this movie that some will definitely not like. Especially moments where, I don't want to spoil, that she had heroic moments in this film that I could swear was, when those moments happened, the theater was silent. You could hear crickets in those moments where it's like, why? Like, why is she here? She wasn't even that good in the first film, and they still kept her anyways. Like, you could have just easily recast her. One of the ideas was, like, Emilia Clarke and Jason Momoa have incredible chemistry. So it's like, why? Like, why? Like, you're just trying to ruin your film at this point? Like, come on. So, yeah, she was there. I can't even, like, talk about her performance because she didn't even have any. So, there's that. Nicole Kidman as Atlanta, supporting characters. And, yeah, she was there. Like, I saw her. Funny enough, they didn't have the, because I went to see it in the AMC, so usually every time you see a movie, you see Nicole Kidman doing, like, welcome to AMC Theaters or some shit. And they didn't have that for this movie, which would have been funny that you saw that and then she's in the movie. You're like, oh my god, it's Nicole. But they didn't have that, sadly. And yeah, she was there. She was just there. Literally, she was just there. Randall Park is in this film as Dr. Stephen Shin, the one who kind of helps Black Manta, but also kind of just wants to not help him. You can tell this man's gonna backstab him at any minute time. And yeah, it's cool seeing Randall Park for the film. It was cool seeing him, I guess. Tamora Morrison as Tom Curry, probably the best character in this film. He has a cool dialogue. He has a cool dad moment with Arthur. He has his Uncle Ben moment giving advice to Arthur. And yeah, that was cool. That was a pretty cool, heartfelt moment. The one heartfelt moment I can even think of this film. And yeah, Dolph Lunden as King Nereus. It's cool seeing Dolph Lunden. It's always cool seeing the man. And you also got Martin Short. He's in this movie. He voices a character, and I don't want to get into because I think it'd be cool to see. But yeah, Martin Short, I like the character. It was cool seeing him. It's like Jabba the Hutt in the sea pretty much. And also a standout that I had was John Rhys Davies as Brian King, the lobster. And yeah, he was funny. I give him that. That character was funny. It was funny. It was just funny, that guy. And in that performance of that guy, it was cool. The writing by David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick, who did the screenplay for Orphan, Conjuring 2, and the first Aquaman. And yeah, this is the weakest thing of this film. The screenplay, the dialogue is awful, but by all means, the writing is terrible, and also the story is just, there's cool moments like the history of the Black Titan. That was cool. That was a cool backstory. Honestly, seeing that whole thing in the movie, I was like, I would rather see that friggin' movie instead of this. But that was a cool backstory to that. But other than that, there was not a lot. It was just buddy cop stuff. But that's it. The writing and the dialogue is just, whoa, like just not great. Not great at all. Direction by Juan. This is definitely, I feel like he did not have any freedom with this movie at all. I feel like he just, with the original movie, you could tell this man had some freedom with the direction and the looks. In this movie, I felt like there was a lot of studio issues, which it was. Like, this movie is so much controversy, down to just studio interference and just reshoots and just Amber Heard. This movie was just, you gotta just have to feel bad for James at this point, because this movie was just doomed from the beginning, and just terrible screenings. This movie was just not leading to anything good. Score by Rupert Gregson-Williams, who did the score for Hotel Rwanda, Hacksaw Ridge, and Wonder Woman. I gave this film that. It was a kick-ass score. It was a really good composition by Mr. Rupert himself, and yeah, it's a great score. The music for this film is really kick-ass, especially in some moments where that's pretty damn good. DP is Don Burgess, who was a cinematographer for movies like Forrest Gump, Castaway, and Wander, and it's pretty well shot. The film has some good shots there and there. The costume design by Richard Sell. Yeah, there wasn't really any upgrades to costumes. There were some cool characters, I guess. There was some designing, specifically some of the goons, the villains and stuff, but yeah, costume wasn't really an upgrade. It's the same as the first film, pretty much. The VFX there's some goofiness to the VFX. There's some little goofiness, a little uncanny valley, definitely. Especially the underwater scenes, which look even worse than the first movie. Like, the first movie, yeah, the underwater scene was a little uncanny, but it was still pretty solid. Here, it was terrible. It was like them just standing on a green screen most of the movie, pretty much. It didn't look like they put this much effort from the first movie to this film at all. And just Atlantis as a whole didn't even feel good. Like, Atlantis wasn't a world. Like, in the first movie, when you go to Atlantis, like, oh, this is beautiful. There was none of that in this film. Action scenes were not good. Okay, they're not good either. Like, the first movie, in my opinion, has some of the best action scenes from a superhero movie. Here, there was none of that. Like, there was none of that. Like, there were some interesting one-shot scenes, but not to the level of, like, the first film by any standards. This movie's action scenes were not as good. There was some cool, like, trident fighting, though, but that was very little of that, to be honest. This film, Aquaman 2, is the last DCU movie, and it sadly ends with a whimper. Not a good one. This is the funeral of the DCU. I think I will pay respect, because they had some cool ass moments, like Man of Steel, Batman v Superman. Not a great film, but the extended cut was better, and Zack Snyder cut was awesome. But the DCU definitely had some whimpers and some poopers, and I will pay respect to the DCU. So join me for I guess 10 seconds of silence. Alright, there you go. I'm not gonna cut that, because out of respect for what Zack Snyder was gonna make. Anyways, as a rating, 2 out of 5 stars, instant. Not a shit movie. It's better than the Marvels. I didn't like finish the movie wanting to die, but it is bad. It's still average at best. The best moments were some of the body cup stuff and some humorous shit that was funny, but that's it, really. That's about it, yo. So yeah, sadly, that was the end of the DCEU. I guess I'll end with, what's your favorite DCU movie? Hey, name it. What would you say would be your favorite DCEU film? So anyways, those are my thoughts for Aquaman 2, and rest in peace, the DCEU. And there was some good moments, and there were some terrible moments, but Some of the good moments were definitely some good moments. So I give respect.